201 B.
201.
I'm sorry. I am 130. He's 201.
That's good. You know, it is important if you're racing to know your numbers. When you
Yeah.
get called over,
Okay.
you know, you need to know when you're supposed to go back. Helen?
34, Helen.
All right. Keep going, keep
John,
going.
171.
Sorry.
Okay, you jumped over a few, but that's okay. And Heidi?
Question.
Sale number and ABC. Okay. Well, go ahead, Argyle, we're back to your background.
606 on A.
Wendy, still with Philip sometimes.
307, Tony, 217.
Sam Bagger.
Rusty, 440C.
Anyone, any else?
Michael Fisher, and I usually said with John, 171, and the Judy and 119.
Back.
Mark C with the BYC votes.
Yeah, that's my mark.
Okay,
Joyce with 30.
thanks, Joyce.
And I said with Joyce with 30.
All right, so John 5, BA something, I'm not sure. Anyways, this is a really great turnout. We had no idea what to expect. You know, I'm going to let Brian do the talking now. For those of you who don't know Brian, he is our reigning class champion. He's won Baldwin Cup. He's won a zillion other things. He's one of the top. I call him a young sailor. He probably doesn't think that way, but he's one of the top young sailors today. And we're really just thrilled to have him here for this. So, with that, I'm going to start things off, and I'm going to start where I said earlier. We're 3 weeks out. 3 weeks, 2 days. What are you thinking about?
3 weeks. I mean, John's question is, what am I thinking about 3 weeks ahead of a big championship? I think with just that amount of lead time, I've taken care of a lot of things already. Some of the things that I'm thinking about is sail inventory. So if it's a championship regatta, I want to use my good stuff, right? So I've got a set of sails that I do most of my sailing, a lot of the practice, a lot of the team races, the sails that just get beat up. Maybe that's the sails I leave on my boat throughout the season, sail the twilights on. But for the championship regatta, I've got maybe a main sail that's a little less used, a little less abused, and a really fresh jib. I think the jib for me is probably more important than the mainsail. The mainsail is fully battened. I feel like they live longer. The jib, though, if you've got a bunch of miles on it, they get soft and the leech starts to flutter a bit. And so when I'm in championship mode, thinking how can I ensure that I've got the best equipment out there, I've got the fresh jib, but that's something I probably thought about prior to that last 3 weeks. I don't think I'd
I think you've missed the window to buy a new jib. Bob would get mad at you here. What about your boat? What are you thinking about with your boat?
Yeah, so then I'm trying. I have the mentality of what can I do that's going to add just 1% improvement, maybe even less than 1%, and find a bunch of little things that eventually will add up to 6 or 7 inches on the race course. But since we're a game of inches, every inch counts. You just find those tiny little things. So for one is don't have any excess weight in the boat that you don't need for racing. A lot of times when it's a twilight regatta and a lot less is on the line, it's less serious. I've got kids in the boat. I've got coolers full of stuff. I've got tools, things that aren't needed. But for the championship regatta, I'm really trying to dial it in and be like, let's pull all that stuff out of the boat and sail with only what's absolutely needed, and minimize the weight that's there. I'm also thinking about the cleanliness of a boat. They say a clean boat is a fast boat, so I'm probably waxing the top sides, getting that buffed out. Have a diver that comes and makes sure the bottom is scrubbed. You don't want any excess
How often do you
growth.
scrub the bottom before regatta? And do you scrub it during the regatta?
I do for a championship. for a championship regatta, I'll ask the diver to come on the days of racing each day, Saturday and Sunday. If it's, it's that little thing. It's maybe doesn't add a whole ton, but it all adds up if you have that mindset. How can I improve 1% at a time with each little thing?
Control lines? Are you thinking about that? Are you checking things? What's your mindset in the rest of the boat? You got a clean boat. You got a clean bottom. You got good sails. Yeah. So John's question is what is it about the boat that I'm thinking of? I really focus on things that may have experienced some wear and tear and are at risk of breaking. You don't want to suffer a breakdown in your big event, right? So I'm going through the boat with a fine-tooth comb, and I'm just looking at maybe shackles that look rusty or lines that have frayed, jib sheets that are on their last legs, and just going over each little thing. And it's kind of a hyper-preventative maintenance before that big event is go through it with a fine-tooth comb and try to identify areas that may suffer a breakdown. Tape the ring dings. That's. So you're 3 weeks out. You're getting your boat perfect.
Yep.
I'll pause here. Anyone have any comments, thoughts, questions? It's pretty straightforward.
What's a ring ding?
A ring ding. So it's a circular piece that goes with a pin. So like for some of the shackles, you put the pin in, and then the ring ding. And some of those can come loose if you don't tape them, or if a jib sheet or a line can hook it and pull it out, and then you're in trouble. A shackle will blow, or
What's the deal with polishing the hull? Right to the waterline?
I mean, I don't really do that. I was more just. I'll sometimes polish just like the top deck. I won't go down the sides too much. And that's more of it's probably a mental thing for me. That's the appearance of the clean, shiny boat. It's ready for the championship regatta. No. It's.
Well, you said it earlier. You're looking for 10 things that maybe add up to a couple feet on the racehorse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a lot. Small margins. There's a lot of fast guys out there, and 2 feet at the weather mark might be an overlap or not an overlap.
And that exercise of kind of touching every part of your boat is where you're going to identify things that you may not have stumbled across. Like I'm in this corner of the boat, and I just realized that part of the main sheet is frayed, and it's time to get a new main sheet on there or something.
So I am aware of one of Brian's big secrets that really is a go fast item, and her name is Perry.
Yeah.
What are you and Perry doing 3 weeks out? Are you guys looking for a practice day if you have some time? Maybe grandparents are watching the kids. Do you get out and practice? Or let's say even if you're going to practice, what kind of things are you going to work on with Perry?
Yeah, so our time is fairly limited in terms of finding free practice days, but we're lucky that we're involved in the team racing thing, so we end up getting a lot of time on the water together, and that kind of becomes our practice. But if we did have a dedicated practice with just us in the boat, I think we would focus mostly on the jib boom maneuvering downwind. I think tacking the boat is pretty straightforward. It's not that complicated, but downwind, huge gains can be made if the crew and the skipper are working together on their timing, their technique, on jibing the jib boom, but then also transitioning from a jib reach to a wing, right? And going from wing back to a jib reach. And if that is smooth and you can do it quicker than the next boat that's there, you're going to get a jump. That's that inch I'm talking about. It's just 1%. So that's a big boat handling thing that we as a team have practiced a lot, and it's gotten to a point where we don't have to do a ton more practice because it's almost gotten to a reflex thing for Perry. She just has the technique down, and our
Talk through. Okay, so I've got I don't know if any of you have this. I've got the jib boom that binds up when I have it upwind, and I crank on that jib out all a little bit, and it kind of ekes around and so forth, and I have to let it off downwind. How do you and Perry do that? Does your jib magically work better than the rest of ours?
No,
Okay.
no.
And Brian, probably,
Yeah.
do you drive the jib or the main first?
Do you jibe the jib or the main first? We do the main first. Yeah, but I wouldn't say that's tried and true that we purposefully do that. That's my recollection. I think we've done it both ways.
Brian,
Yeah.
if you're sailing the weather, are you trying to sail as tight as you can and point as high as you can, or do you crack off a little bit for speed?
So his question is, do I crack off for speed or am I going for pointing? And my answer would be it's always a combination, and it's always a function of whether you're at top speed or not. So coming out of attack, you're a little bit down speed because you just crossed head to wind. So you definitely don't want to be pointing in point mode out of attack. You want to be in speed build mode. So in that instance, I'm not at top speed. I'm trying to get to top speed. Whenever I've had time, the boat's accelerated and I'm at top speed, then I'm starting to find height and going into more of a point mode. But the way I look at it is, if you're in point mode for too long, you're going to kill your speed. So you kind of want to be in point mode for a while. Wait till you kind of feel like you just lost a little bit of your top speed, and then come back down and get speed build again. And once you're at top speed, then you go from point.
10 seconds, every 30 seconds. How long are you?
For me,
What's
for
that frequency?
For me, it's a feel thing, and I don't think there's a tried and true, like you can't say it's 10 seconds. I think, what are the wind conditions? The windier it is, maybe the less time you need to spend speed building. You know, if it's 15 knots, I might be down for 3 seconds, and I'm like, yep, we're good. Let's try to point and feather. If it's light, if it's like 3 knots, it could take me 15 seconds to get to top speed, maybe longer.
What about windy conditions? Do you try to keep the boat flatter, or do you just let it heel over to where the rails hit the water?
Heel is not great, but it's also unavoidable when it gets to a certain wind level. The more the boat heels over, the more it wants to slide sideways. Like, you really want to fight to kind of get that keel more up and down, because that's going to drive you through the water. So I'm trying to keep the boat flatter. Yeah.
Are you vang sheeting a lot and kind of letting that main out and kind of working that, or?
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm unique and if everyone else does this, but I've never lowered my traveler. I'm always doing the vang sheeting. Like, I'll just leave my traveler pinned to the center, and lots of boom vang in the breeze. I think the boom, lots of vang in the breeze helps depower. I think it helps flatten that mainsail maybe even more than the backstay does. But so yeah, we're really tightening that vang, and then being sure that the crew knows that I can't head down to duck a boat unless that vang is eased and the main comes out. So we do play the vang a little bit.
When you're rounding the leeward mark, do you snug up the backstay before or after you're rounding?
Coming around to leeward mark to head up. I usually tighten it a little bit coming into the mark, kind of taking the slack out. I come around, and then I give it a big tug upwind if it's needed.
Let's talk about, we've talked a little bit about wind velocity. How do you set your rig? What's your pattern? Are you playing your rig in different wind conditions? You know, what are your tensions if you have those?
Yeah, so that's a good question. He's asking, what do I do about tuning my rig for various conditions? I think repeatability is crucial. If you can find a setting that you feel really fast, like for an example, the Twilights 4 weeks ago, I was in a lineup with Bill Menninger, and I rarely feel fast next to Bill Menninger, but this one particular time we had a good lineup, and I was for sure faster. And it was, so in my mind, I'm like, okay, medium breeze and I'm faster than Bill Manager, how can I repeat this setting and come back to it if I find this condition again? It's like medium breeze, and I want to be that. I found a sweet spot. So being able to repeat it's very important. So when we got to the dock, I put a tension gauge on the rig, measured the lowers and the uppers, and jotted down the numbers, and then and then measure the mast rake, and then
He
you're.
doesn't have to give all his secrets.
To be
That's part of the deal.
and to be honest, I don't remember them off the top of my head, but
They're on your boat.
but
So
I'll.
if we get on your boat tonight, we can.
You're feel free. There's no secrets. But I think how I think about tuning is more of a feel thing. I think how I got to that setting that was as fast as Bill Manager is I'm always looking for the leeward upper shroud to dangle a little bit. As I'm sailing upwind, I look to leeward, and if that shroud is firm and doesn't have a little bit of dangle, the rig's too tight. And so it's a feel thing, and once I get the uppers right, I'm pretty loose on the lowers in the light stuff. I think that you want your mast to be able to sag in the middle of the mast to power up the main. So as the breeze picks up, I kind of have a ratio of turns that I go on the rig. I go 2 on the uppers and 1 on the lowers, and I'll do 2 or 3 steps of that if needed. So I go upwind, there's too much dangle and I'm overpowered. I'll do 2 on the uppers, 1 on the lowers. And after I do 2 or 3 steps of that, then I start equaling out, and I do 1 and 1. So it's just something I've taken away from other keelboat racing I've done, is that ratio is like 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1. Okay, now the rig's so tight that now you're just doing 1 and 1 the rest of the way up. And I think the tightest my rig's ever been has probably been like 30 on each of them.
So one last question, I'm still like 3 weeks out from the regatta, and your buddy Bob, who you know is really fast, is available to go tune and practice with you this coming weekend. What kind of things are you doing with another boat if you have another boat to work with?
Yeah, I think a lot. When I have the benefit of a tuning partner, I'm for sure trying to find that fast rig tune. So I'm doing lineups with my tuning partner, and we really work together. So a lot of it has to be sharing of information. You can't be like 2 independent parties with your secrets. It's like, hey, tuning partner, let's work together and try to learn something. So have one guy be the constant and not change anything on his boat. Have the other guy line up and maybe change a few things. Usually it's the slower boat of the 2 will start making some changes to try to catch up and be able to line up and go as fast. But just once one of the people have come out ahead, come back and be disciplined about setting up evenly again, so you can keep testing it out, and then come in and share the information, what you learned and what changes you made.
And so last question, we're still 3 weeks out. Anything else you're thinking about?
Yeah, I think so. I kind of think of 3 main categories. I'm thinking about the boat. How can I make sure the boat's well prepared? We talked about that, right? So I got the right sails on the boat. I did the fine-tooth comb check that nothing's going to break during the event. It's clean. Then the other is the boat handling. So if you need practice on the jib boob jibing and transitions, go for a sail with your crew and work on technique. And the third category is more like knowledge and in my head. So I'm looking at the sailing instructions. What might be unique of this regatta, or is it standard? But I want to know what the race courses are. Make sure I have a course chart. I want to see what the penalty is if I foul a boat. Is it a 360, a 720? Sometimes it's different, so I just want to make sure I'm not doing a 720 when I only had to do a 360. And then weather is a big thing. I'm kind of trying to figure out forecasts and what the conditions are going to be like, whether we should eat a big meal the night before because it's going to be windy, or
Go for a run.
yeah, go for a run. But I think just rule of thumb too, and I'm sure you've heard this before, being a local here, but when the wind's blowing from the south, I'm thinking in my head the left is likely going to be favored. So it's not so tried and true that I'm just going to blindly go left. But if I'm in a situation I have to choose, I'm going to lean on the left and play my game from the left side of the course. If the wind's blowing from the west, the right is usually favored. So I'll skew my strategy to playing the right side more. And from the southwest, I know it's going to be a lot shiftier. No one side is really all that favored. Just be ready for big wind shifts and be able to play the shifts.
So I'm going to pause here, and any questions with 3 weeks out, because we're going to move forward a week. But anything here while we're 3 weeks out that anyone is, okay, it's hard to see out there, but a little bright. Sorry about the sunglasses. Okay, so we move forward a week. It's now a week and a half ahead of the regatta. There's a practice regatta on Saturday, and you're gearing up for this championship. You're going to go sail this practice regatta. What's going through your head? What are you and Perry thinking about?
A week before?
Yeah, a week before the regatta. It's just a practice regatta. It's a warm-up. I think there is a warm-up regatta here. 13th. So maybe you're thinking about that regatta, and how do you use that? How do you go about a practice regatta a week ahead of the championship?
Yeah, I think I utilize that opportunity as a dry run. I make sure the gear's working smoothly. I make sure that the boat is tuned. I'm testing my tuning. Maybe making sure the tension on the rig that I like for certain conditions is fast like I thought it was, and then really working on my racing techniques. A lot of using the starts as good starting practice, and coming with your kind of pre-start routine. What do you like to do when the right's really favored? You need to get right, and the boat's favored. So just using that as a kind of a tune-up.
And are you and Perry doing anything crew work wise, or you've been practicing all year? You're just stepping in and let it rip.
For us, it's time to a week out. It's time to let it rip. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll pause here just if anyone has questions. You're a week away. So we'll move forward again. It's now Friday night before the regatta. What are you doing? What are you thinking? How are you prepping?
Not anything crazy different the night before. It's life has a way of telling you what you need to do, and there's kids involved, and it's you just
and so now we're the morning of the regatta, and you're getting ready. What are you checking out? Are you looking at weather forecasts? Are you looking at coming down here and watching the wind? Is the regatta meetings are happening? What's your process the morning of the regatta?
Yeah, I think it's making sure that the kids get dropped off with the babysitter, looking at the weather forecasts, and making sure we've got the right amount of food for the day, and yeah, I think we're ready to go.
Okay. And I'm just I'm pausing here. If I can't see if anyone's got questions. I kind of wanted to walk people up and say, what's the pattern I can replicate with my team, with my program? And what are the steps that go on? Do you want to talk a little bit about starts and the first upwind leg? That usually is a big thing. What's your approach to the start first race?
So what I've learned in the Harbor 20 is that I think the most important thing, even more so than starting at the favored end of the line, is starting with a full head of steam, starting without being stuck next to any boat. So I'm just looking for like the uncrowded spots on the line, and I'm looking for enough runway to have that not worrying about acceleration at this point, just having my full head of steam to hit the line at go. Because I think people tend to set up too early on the line. And if you show up early, you're really forced to kind of slow down and kind of stop your boat so that you're not over the line. So I've more and more that I've done this Harbor 20 racing, I'm more of a late approach to the line. If you're coming in a little bit later, you've got a good purview of where the danger zone's going to be, where is the crowd bunching up.
Do you come from port or starboard? What do you like?
I change it up. I think if the pin is really favored, I like the port approach, because when you're on port, your line of attack to the line is more straight on. If the boat's really favored, I kind of like the starboard approach and seeing if there's an opportunity to get a good start at the boat, and if not, work my way down to just find a clear space to hit the line at full speed.
And first upwind leg, you're off the line now.
Yeah, I guess it depends if I got off the line clean and I can do what I want versus in my second row and now I'm looking to find a lane. But I think what I do a lot of times before the race even starts is I'm trying to get a feel for what the wind is doing, and is there a pattern that I can, in an oscillating breeze, there's a lot of times a pattern, and there's a time of when it's going to be one way for a certain amount of time, and it's going to shift. If you can get in tune with that, then you know that you can kind of forecast and predict what the next shift is coming and how to position yourself for that. So if it's an oscillating breeze and it's currently pin favored or in a righty and boat favored, you know that the lefty's coming, so you maybe don't have to start right at the boat. You just position yourself for the next shift.
So an oscillating breeze, you might get yourself a little more space and know that it's going to come your way.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Rusty.
How do you deal with the tides?
The tides is a very important part of the strategy. So as that morning checklist, checking the high and the low tides of the day, and getting a feel for, is it a big tide and we're going to experience a lot of current, or is it a small tide and it's going to be less of a factor? But knowing whether it's going to be going out or in plays a big role in forming your pre-race strategy. And so being in tune with that is important, but also when you get out to the race course, doing some things that give you a feel for how strong it is where they've set up your course. Sometimes if they set you up down by the PCH bridge where the current's ripping, you got to pay more attention to that. Also, the way the currents in this bay kind of bend around corners, it's important to know, on the starting line, what is the current doing. So we'll test that out. We'll just go and we'll luff and we'll stop the boat next to the pin end and see, is it pushing us over the line? Is it pushing us under? Is it pushing us into the pin? You really want to get a feel for what it's doing, and then knowing where the tide change is happening, that can give you an idea of what it's going to be throughout the day. Are we building? Is it getting stronger, or is it getting weaker to a slack and then going to switch directions on us? But no, that's an important part of it.
What app do you use for wind?
I've been using Sailflow and Windy. I kind of check those two.
For tides, where do you, because some of them are Balboa Pier, some of them are the entrance. Are any of them any more accurate, or kind of just figured out from the general one what's happening in the bay?
Yeah, I kind of,
There's not one for the bay, is there?
not that I've really seen.
No. And keep in mind the timing, every location in the bay, the timing's going to be a little different.
Right.
And one of the things is I always think of it as I've got a benchmark and I'll use the harbor entrance, but I know the timing will be different where we are in the bay. And the best way to know is, Ryan said, you observe. What's it doing? Sit at a mark. Which way are you going? And it's not just upwind, downwind, left, right. The tide goes different ways.
life jackets, right? Well, don't you have to have a motor and a battery? Well, you don't have to. So how many people, raise your hands, take them out of your boat to make your boat lighter? I mean, I was shocked, because that's
Well,
such a.
you have to weigh in. It can't be lighter than 1,950 pounds.
So you have to have,
So you
have to
take it out.
take the engine out, you gotta put compensation
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that answers the question. Thank you. Yeah. Don't look at it from that point of view.
Well, I'm not one to drag these out. We have a good football game on downstairs. Brian is here to answer questions, so if this is it, this is it.
I got a question. So at the start, all right, do you like mess with some other boats? If you're lured, you try to round them up and get them over the line, or you just look for an open space and go for speed?
I try to avoid other boats as much as possible because they're only going to get in my way and slow me down and not let me do what I want to do. So I try not to mess with other boats. Sometimes it's unavoidable. Like if you're lured and the guy's reaching down the line and you kind of get in those situations. But I prefer to just find that open spot and hit it with a full head of steam.
I've never seen you protest. I mean, you seem to avoid protests as well.
I don't think I've been in a protest in the Harbor 20 fleet. Not a single one. I do my spins when I'm wrong, and yep.
When you're going upwind, do you play the jib outhaul quite a bit as the wind fluctuates?
In light and medium air, we played a lot. We played a lot. I think it's one of the more important controls for boat speed upwind. And
Are you playing the outhaul or the jib sheet?
mostly the outhaul. So
What are you looking for?
okay, so I didn't think I was gonna have to use the whiteboard, but now I think I'm gonna have to. So let's say this is the deck, and we're sitting at you guys are sitting in the transom of the boat looking forward. Okay, and this is the end of your jib boom. Your jib sheets, and this is like a block, right? The jib sheets come out of the deck here, go through the block, and over there. Do you guys follow me with where we're at on the boat? Okay. So I feel like the jib sheet is the macro adjustment, and we don't play a ton with it. And what I look for, and what I've taught all of my crews, is look at the triangle that your jib sheets form. I want that to be a right triangle, and I want the 90-degree part of that triangle to be right here. For most of my upwind sailing. Coming out of attack, I'm in acceleration, speed mode. I want the 90-degree angle to be there. When I'm at my top speed, Perry will trim. I'm like, okay, I think we're at top speed. Let's go for a little bit of point. I'll have her trim it in just a couple inches, not a lot, but just enough to where trimming jib sheet at this point. And sorry, I lied on where the right triangle is. Let me change my pen. So yeah, sorry. On that first one, the right angle is here. And then when she trims it in just a little bit, this becomes the 90-degree right triangle. And so that's our range, and it's literally like maybe 3 to 4 inches of your jib boom going in and out. And it's the difference between speed build, acceleration, to now point mode. So that's macro, and we kind of do that on an as-needed basis. But like the most critical adjustment that she's making, she's actually playing the jib outhaul that controls, the length of how much how much outhaul is between your jib boom and your sail, right? And so what we look for there, I'm going to draw a jib. You've got a batten, you've got 2 battens, right? And you've got a leech telltale. So what I want that leech telltale to be flying straight back 100% of the time, but I want it on the edge of stalling out. And I need to know that we're on that edge, because if we're not, we could be massively under trimmed. So what we do is we trim out, I have her trim that outhaul in, which lowers this distance, right? We were here and now we're here. Well, it just caused that telltale to hide behind the sail and stall out. So now we know we're over trimmed, and I tell her to ease it, just ease it enough, just a couple clicks until that starts flying again. So we're not stalled, but we're on the edge of stall. And I think that's a critical component, and Perry's really good at doing that. She's always looking up. She's down to leeward and just playing that. And I think it's a huge speed because if you're over trimmed and this is stalled, slow. You're going. It's a speed killer.
So Brian, you're playing with both the outhaul and the jib sheet.
Most the macro on the jib sheet, macro, and we play the jib sheet. We play both, but we play the outhaul more. We kind of get the jib sheet where we like it, and we have two settings. We have speed build, or now we're at full speed, and now we're pointing. So there's only two.
We call it accelerated pinch.
Accelerated and pinch, yep. Only two settings there, and then here is she's constantly playing that and testing.
And making sure that telltale's flowing.
Yes, because like I said, if it's stalled for too long, it's a speed killer, and if it's flowing 100% of the time, but you aren't on the edge of stall, you're giving up a lot of pointing ability. So I don't know. That's
Your jib shape dictates speed and point.
I would say, yeah, a lot of it. Yep.
Upper telltale only?
Only upper tail. The top leech tail die is the only thing we look at.
Not the lower one.
Nope. Because it's a function of twist, right? And the top one is the only one I really care about.
So this is on the leash, not the window.
Yep. The skipper, as a skipper, I focus on these telltales. That tells me where to drive. And am I high or too low? I'm keep making sure those are streaming straight back. Crew is focused on here. The crew can't do anything about these when you're trimmed in all the way upwind, right?
If it's windier, does Perry still go down and check that out? Or do that between races?
Like at a certain point, it gets windy enough to where the jib sheet becomes a little bit more of what we play, and we're kind of like, I think that it's going to be hard to stall that telltale once it gets windy enough, right? I'm talking like in the teens, 15 plus. Then we're just kind of getting the jib outhaul where we like it, and playing the jib sheet to easing it in the puff so we don't heel over too much. Like anytime I have to ease the main in the breeze, I like her to ease that jib sheet a little bit at the same time, so we're keeping the slot open. But yeah, that's.
And that's an off type of
Yep. The other thing too is I don't know how many of you make this adjustment, but you have your jib boom here, and you have an adjustment here that I think is critical. It's your jib halyard, and whether you have your jib high on the track or low on the track, if you're too low, you're going to bottom out and trim this outhaul all the way to max, and you're not going to be able to stall this telltale because there's just not enough to pull on. So if you're finding that, like, hey, it's light to medium air, we should be on the edge of stall and we can't stall it, that means your jib's too far low. It's not hoisted up high enough. So we'll hoist it up, but you don't want to be too high. You just want to be able to. I think the windier it gets, the higher we're going up, the higher we're hoisting our jib, because we need just to be able to pull on more outhaul to get the jib leech looking right.
Perry's adjusting the outhaul. Are these like quarter-inch adjustments, half-inch? They're real small, right?
Really small, yeah.
Gotcha.
Small, but as you're looking up at that leech, like she's just easing until it flows again. That could be an inch if she was that far over trimmed. And the conditions change. The lighter it gets, the more you're going to have to ease to let it breathe and open it up.
Right, what are your thoughts on jib luff tension?
Jib luff tension, that's a good question. In most other boats I've sailed, scallops are fast, meaning like wrinkles in the luff are fast, but in the Harbor 20, I feel like the too much wrinkles hasn't been fast. So in the light stuff, I'll have a hint of wrinkles, and as it gets windier, I'll take those wrinkles out, and there won't be any. Like a decent amount of luff tension in the big breeze, and then on the lighter end of the spectrum, I want the hint of wrinkles.
Adjust the outhaul on the main during the race.
Downwind, we ease the outhaul, and we try to pull it. We let it out for the downwind, and we pull it in a little bit coming into the leeward mark. It's really hard to pull on when there's load on it, at least on our boat.
Before you round the leeward mark.
Yep.
Are you driving to both telltale straight back, or are you more concerned with the leeward tilt?
The leeward telltale should never deviate. You're kind of way off if the leeward telltale is going. And if Perry sees that as a crew, the leeward telltale goes, she'll ease the jib a little bit and say, hey, I'm eased for you. And I'm like, oh shoot, and I'll head up, and then she'll pull the jib in. But I try not to let the leeward telltale do anything but be flying straight back. But I will play with the inside telltale, the windward telltale, and when I'm at full speed and I want to go for point, I'll have that one flutter a little bit, and it's kind of a pinchy pointing thing. And like I said, I won't stay there for too long. I'll wait till like maybe I need to come back down a little bit and do a little speed build again. But you don't want that leeward one doing much. That means you're kind of way off the wind.
Verity sounds like she's nice about that. I have some words for me.
Yeah.
All right. Any more questions? One more question, maybe, or are we good? Is that what we wanted to do?
When you talked about adjusting the jib luff, how do you do that?
Yeah. So there should be two adjusters up here. There's the halyard that's aligning a cleat, and there's another cleat that pulls on the jib tack, and you can pull down on that. So most boats, if they don't have, they should have two lines with cleats. So one controls the luff, and one is the halyard adjustment.
All right.
Phil has one more.
Last question, Phil.
Okay. If you were to go into super high point mode, what do you do?
Super high point mode. We would.
Or do you ever do that?
Like sometimes it's needed, like to lay the windward mark, because tacking is such a huge. Like you've got people on your hip, and you need to lay that mark, or you're either jibing out or it's a mess. So like there's times when you really need it, So trimming the main in tight helps. Sometimes easing backstay I think helps, because if you have too much backstay on, it's a really flat main. But when you ease your backstay, it gives you more leach return, and so it's maybe not as fast, but it'll let you point a little higher. Perry might pull on the outhaul a little bit, and we'll definitely be in this configuration of jib sheet where there's that. And then in team racing, I don't think we've done this in a fleet race, but a move that you can do if you need to shoot something is you can actually furl your jib. So like because it helps, because like let's say you're coming into the windward mark and you really need to shoot it because it's the only move you have. If your jib's up in the front luffing because you're head to wind, that's so much drag that it's killing your boat's momentum that you've built up, right? But if you turn up and your crew furls the jib, you can coast for a really long time, get around the mark, and then unfurl the jib.
That's advanced sailing 201. Anyways, Brian, thank you so much.
My
This is
pleasure.
really great.
Yeah.
And thank you all for coming. Best of luck. I hope this gave you something to chew on here in the next 2 or 3 weeks as you're getting ready for the championship. So best of luck to everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you, Brian.
Mm-hmm.